Good morning, Alex. I see you are yet engrossed in your studies. As a history major, I'm sure you know that today is Juneteenth.
You know, Professor. And good morning to you. But I hear the term Juneteenth more and more each year, and I know it's about freedom, but I'm not entirely sure about the full story. What is Juneteenth exactly?
That's a great question, and you're not alone. Many people are still learning about the true significance of this day. At its heart, Juneteenth commemorates the emancipation of enslaved African Americans in the United States.
So it's like another Emancipation Day? I thought Lincoln's Emancipation Proclamation ended slavery.
That's a crucial point. The Emancipation Proclamation was issued by President Abraham Lincoln on January 1st, 1863. It declared that all enslaved people in Confederate states shall be then, thenceforward, and forever free. However, here's where the history gets a bit more complicated.
Complicated how? I'm not understanding.
Well, the Emancipation Proclamation was a wartime measure. It applied only to the states that had seceded from the Union and were still in rebellion. It didn't immediately free enslaved people in border states that remained loyal to the Union, nor could it be enforced in Confederate territory that was still under Confederate control.
Ah, so it was a proclamation, but the reality on the ground was different.
Exactly, my friend. For many enslaved people in the Confederacy, especially those in the Deep South, news of their freedom traveled incredibly slowly, if at all. The Civil War was still raging, and Confederate forces actively suppressed information that might undermine their control.
So where does Juneteenth come in?
Juneteenth specifically marks the day when federal troops arrived in Galveston, Texas on June 19, 1865. This was more than 2.5 years after the Emancipation Proclamation was issued.
2.5 years? Wow, why Texas?
Yes. On June 19, 1865, Union General Gordon Granger arrived in Galveston with his troops. He stood on the balcony of what is now Ashton Villa and read General Order No. 3, which stated, "The people of Texas are informed that in accordance with a proclamation from the Executive of the United States, all slaves are free. This involves an absolute equality of personal rights and rights of property between former masters and slaves, and the connection heretofore existing between them becomes that between employer and hired labor. The freedmen are advised to remain quietly at their present homes and work for wages. All slaves are free."
I can only imagine what that moment must have felt like for those who heard it.
It was a moment of profound joy, disbelief, and a dawning realization of freedom. For many, it was the first time they learned they were no longer property. While the news was met with celebration, it also marked the beginning of a challenging new chapter for newly freed people as they navigated a world where systemic racism and inequality persisted.
And that's why we celebrate Juneteenth on June 19th?
Exactly. It became a day of remembrance and celebration for African Americans, especially in Texas, with traditions like family gatherings, food, music, and prayer. Over the decades, as Black Texans migrated across the country, they carried the tradition of Juneteenth with them, spreading its observance.
And it's only recently become a federal holiday, right?
You're precisely right. For years, there was a movement to recognize Juneteenth at a national level. Finally, on June 17, 2021, President Joe Biden signed the Juneteenth National Independence Day Act into law, making Juneteenth a federal holiday.
That's wonderful that it's finally recognized nationally.
It really highlights a crucial part of our history that not everyone was aware of. Juneteenth is a powerful reminder that freedom was not a singular event, but a process. And for many, it was hard-won and delayed. It's a day to reflect on the resilience and strength of those who endured slavery, to celebrate the promise of freedom, and to recommit ourselves to the ongoing work of equality and justice for all. It's a day for all Americans to understand a fuller, more honest picture of our nation's past.
Thank you so much, Professor, for explaining that. It makes so much more sense now. Juneteenth is such a really important day.
Yes, it is, Alex. And let's keep sharing the story of Juneteenth and its history. Carry on in your studies and I'll see you in class.